Hello and welcome to our midday report here on TVP World. My name is Diana Skaya and it's 2 o'clock here in Warsaw. The Financial Times reports that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy is preparing to announce both presidential elections and a referendum on a peace deal with Russia in the coming days. Zelenskyy has reportedly been pressured by the White House to hold both votes by May 15 or risk losing U.S. security guarantees. Our correspondent in Kyiv, Oz Katerji, joins us. Oz, hello. So what is Kyiv reactions to these reports? What more can you tell us?
Well, it's important to note this is a Financial Times exclusive, and they were reporting that President Zelenskyy is due to announce the holding of presidential elections and a referendum on a potential peace deal between Ukraine and Russia on February 24th, the anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Now, we are hearing from other news agencies, including Reuters, who have spoken to people in the president's office, who say that that timeline is unrealistic. Part of the reason that is unrealistic is the Russians haven't agreed to anything. So how could the Ukrainians hold a referendum to sign a deal that the Russians haven't agreed to? It's important to note that 2 rounds of trilateral negotiations between Ukraine, Russia, and the United States and Abu Dhabi have not resulted in any kind of breakthrough, in any kind of movement towards an agreement. So the likelihood of there being a vote on a referendum on a peace deal is unlikely given the kind of current timeline that Ukraine is operating with. With regards to the presidential elections, it's very clear that the Trump administration has been pressuring Zelenskyy and his administration to hold presidential elections, something the Ukrainians say is against their constitution during martial law, something the Ukrainians also say if they were to hold any kind of election like that, they would need to guarantee security for the polls, the polling centers, so people could go and vote safely in these elections. So without any kind of guarantees, that's again something reported by Reuters, that without any kind of guarantees, it seems unclear how Ukraine could even hold such a vote. So a very interesting difference in reporting that we're getting here on the ground at the moment between the Financial Times and other outlets. It remains to be seen what President Zelenskyy will say on February 24th, but there are definitely conflicting reports around whether or not such an announcement is going to be made. However, looking into the details for such an announcement to be made, Ukraine would need to receive assurances, guarantees that it has not yet received, and Russia would need to agree to an agreement in principle, which it has not done so. So until either of those 2 issues are resolved, it's very unclear how such a poll could even be held in Ukraine. Now, this comes amid further Russian attacks on Ukraine. 3 children and their father were killed in an attack on Kharkiv, a drone attack on a home in Kharkiv, and the mother, a pregnant woman, is fighting for her life in hospital. So while these talks continue, while these negotiations are underway, Ukrainian civilians are still paying the price while Russia continues to bombard Ukraine relentlessly, particularly during this very bitterly cold winter, Diana.
Oz, and definitely conflicting narratives right there. And like you said, we have yet to see how it will all unfold. Thank you so much, Oz Katerji, and stay safe. Poland's cabinet has convened to discuss new legislation designed to successfully implement the European Union SAFE program intended to boost Poland's defense capabilities. The initiative, which is also on the agenda of the National Security Council, could unlock billions of euros for military investment. Ovidiusz Niceja explains what the SAFE program is and how Poland can benefit from it.
Poland is working on the implementation of European Union's SAFE loan program, which is part of the European Commission's strategy to boost member states' defensive capabilities by year 2030. And Poland is set to become the biggest beneficiary of the SAFE program. It's set to obtain 43.7 billion euro in funding. The Polish government wants to spend that money at home and says it's a great chance for the Polish defense industry. And it also says it's a great chance for the government to save money because Polish authorities believe that this is a favorable loan which is significantly cheaper than the market alternatives.
a w dużej części te pieniądze trafią do Polski.
A large part of this money will go to Poland, and not just from our part of the SAFE programme, not just from that €44 billion pool, but also from the funds available to other countries that applied for SAFE. The loan will have a very attractive interest rate, lower than Polish 5- and 10-year treasury bonds. Interest in this type of bond at the European level is greater than at the level of any member state. Repayment will begin only 10 years down the line. These financial arguments are better than for any other instrument.
Które są lepsze niż w jakikolwiek innym instrumencie.
Opposition in Poland has raised concern over potential risks of the SAFE loan program. I've discussed some of these risks with a defense analyst.
In the SAFE are two main risks. First is, of course, money. It's a lot of money. We are spending it in a very short time, but we will pay for it in a longer period. Another thing, it's more related with the industry. So the question is if we are capable of producing so much equipment, so much weapon in a short time, because everything should be made and delivered before the end of the 2030. So it's a very short time for defense production, which usually takes 2 to 5 years, to produce military equipment.
The Polish defense minister has said that it's now one of the priorities of the Polish government to work together with the European Commission to convince it to partially cancel some of this debt under the SAFE loan program for Poland. From Warsaw for TVP World, Ovidiusz Nicieja.
Staying on Poland, well, Poland is not going to participate in Donald Trump's Board of Peace despite being invited by the U.S. president himself. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk made the announcement.
I have heard from Foreign Minister Sikorski that our embassy in Washington has received an invitation to the inaugural meeting of the Board of Peace, which will take place on February 19 in the United States. The invitation is addressed to the Polish Prime Minister or President. It is open. I think this is the moment to say quite clearly and unequivocally that in the current circumstances, when it comes to the principles, status and immediate goals of this body, primarily related to the reconstruction of Gaza, as well as certain doubts of a constitutional nature, I would say regarding the shape of this council, mean that Poland will not be joining the Board of Peace.
NATO is readying to bolster its capabilities by deploying the Arctic Sentry mission. With more details coming in, our defense correspondent Zuzanna Jurek, who's at NATO headquarters in Brussels, has the details.
Bolstering the defense and deterrence in the High North is becoming a key priority for the NATO alliance, as has been underlined by the unveiling of the Arctic Sentry mission. Now, this comes at the back of the conversations between Donald Trump, the US president, and the NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte during their Davos Economic Forum meeting late in January, where they agreed on a framework to bolster the defense in the region as it aligns with Washington's priorities. Now, according to the Supreme Allied Commander for Europe, Alexis Grinkiewicz, the mission will primarily underscore the alliance's commitment to safeguard its members and maintain stability in one of the world's strategically significant and environmentally challenging areas. Now, although all the details are yet to emerge, we know that the operations conducted in the region will be led by the Joint Command Norfolk. Additionally, the countries participating will include the UK, which is expected to play a vital role, particularly as the Secretary of Defence has previously highlighted that the UK is aiming to bolster, if not double, the amount of troops it currently places in the High North. Additionally, Denmark, as well as France, which have pre-existing experiences of training in these challenging environments, will also play strategic roles, or at least significant roles, in the operations going forward. From Brussels for TVP World, Zuzanna Jurek.
Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban has labeled Ukraine an enemy of Hungary, all in a bid to garner more popular support in the heat of the political race ahead of April's general election. Now, the campaign is becoming increasingly challenging, with personal attacks becoming commonplace.
Nearly 2 months shy of a pivotal election, political emotions are running high in Hungary. The election could see the long-standing Viktor Orban's rule come to an abrupt end. To fend off strong opposition, he is adopting an extreme anti-Ukrainian narrative in hopes to pander to the Hungarian electorate.
Ukraine is damaging our elementary interest by constantly demanding help and inciting Brussels to cut Hungary off from cheap Russian energy. Anyone who does this isn't a mere opponent, but an enemy of Hungary.
But the electoral campaign seems to have grown even more unscrupulous. Orban's main opponent, Peter Magyar, expects a tide of attacks from the ruling Fidesz party. Once a member of the group, in February 2024, Magyar released a covert recording of his ex-wife, Judith Varga, who back then served as the country's justice minister. In the audio, she reveals that the country's president, Katalin Novak, pardoned someone who helped cover up a case of child sex abuse. This led to the resignation of both the president and justice minister. Now Magyar anticipates political revenge.
Many journalists were sent a link today showing a room with a camera. I suspect that they are planning to release a recording, possibly falsified, made with Secret Service equipment, showing my then-girlfriend and me in an intimate situation. Dear fearful Fidesz supporters, go ahead and bring everything out. Falsify as you please. I will not give in to blackmail or threats.
By now, Viktor Orban has served as Hungary's Prime Minister for 16 uninterrupted years. Though he has recently been endorsed by US President Donald Trump, he's expected to lose the upcoming ballot according to most opinion polls.
I have some ideas and I will
And now for the latest Winter Olympic updates, let's cross to John Carter. John, take it away.
Thank you very much, Diana. So we're going to start with some events away from the sporting arena first of all. So the saga regarding Ukrainian Vladislav Hereskevic's helmet continues as the skeleton competitor said he will wear his helmet of remembrance, honouring those killed in the war with Russia during the competition, despite International Olympic Committee explicitly forbidding him from doing so. Now, the Ukrainian flag bearer has been training with the helmet, showing 24 images of dead Ukrainian athletes. But the IOC said that this isn't allowed in competition, which starts on Thursday, due to a rule banning any political statements from the Games. Now, Hereskevich says that his wearing of the helmet does not contravene any of the regulations. And in fact, he said in a statement that I disagree with this decision because I truly believe that we didn't violate any rules. Rule 50, political propaganda, discrimination propaganda, racial propaganda, is definitely not about this helmet. Now, changing gears, let's look back to the sporting arena and the first success for Latvia at these Games. As we can see, a silver medal for Alina Yeva-Botta, and she was finished ahead, just behind Julia Talbot of Germany. Now, this was a significant moment, I think, for Latvia because it was their, for Botta, because she won this in the women's luge, and it was the first medal for the women's individual event at the Winter Olympics since Latvia gained its independence back in 1992. So I think it holds a specific significance for the broader Latvian sporting scene. Now, let's look forward to this evening's actions, and Damian Jurek will be in action for Poland in the speed skating 1,000 metres. Now, Jurek is one of the true medal hopefuls for Poland at these Games, and, well, he has been in superb form. He won gold at the European Championships. He's been consistently on the podium at the World Cup events during this season. So a lot of hopes pinned on him, and hopefully he can get a gold medal. Now, speaking of medals, let's have a look at the table. And as things stand, we can see that Norway are comfortably out in front. 6 golds and 12 in total. Germany second, Swedes are third, Czechs with a gold and a silver in 10th, and Latvia and Poland in 17th. That's all for me for the time being. Back to Diana.
Thank you so much, John Carter, for that Olympics update. And that's all for also our Midday Report here on TVP World. I'm Diana Skaya. Thanks for watching, and stay with us here for more news and exclusive interviews.